And I'm going to look to CAO Smith-Haynes to introduce item B4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item comes to us from the Sheriff's Office. Unfortunately, neither the Sheriff nor the Undersheriff were available this morning, but I see Lieutenant Steve Knight is here, and I believe he may want to address the board in a second. I thought I would just frame this discussion a little bit. As your board knows, during the budget process for 2010-11, most of the departments took significant cuts, and that included our operations in Budget Unit 278, which is the Sheriff's Animal Control budget. And as a result of that, it was pointed out to your board at the time of the budget hearings that there would be an item that would have to come back for modification of the shelter hours. The item before you today is a revised schedule. It's a revision to the county's ordinance that sets open hours for various county facilities, which are within the purview of your board to set.
So welcome, Steve. Thank you for an incredible amount of patience this morning.
No problem. Phil, our CAO did a great job of framing the problem. The bottom line is...
Can I get you a little closer to the mic there? Here we
sure.
go.
Phil did a great job of framing the problem. The problem comes down to pretty quick here. We're going to have not enough personnel to keep the shelter open the hours that we're currently having open. Any closure of the shelter, there's going to be some ramifications because every day that the shelter is not open is a day that animals are not being redeemed by their owners and the public's going to be charged. Will be a day that no adoptions, and so there will be, it's like a balloon. You can push in one area and it's going to pop out another. We are going to be going down to 2 front desk staff here in about 2 or 3 months, and we lose one of them pretty quick. We're operating with an extra help that we're looking at losing that position mid-December. And so we'll be just operating with 2 front desk staff. And operating as we are won't work. They're already very tired, and as we all know, we have vacation, breaks, all that stuff that has to be dealt with too. So, you know, that's where we're at with this whole thing, is we're getting down to crunch time. And some decisions hopefully can be made in the near future, if not immediately.
This is Rusty. Last Saturday, Rusty got adopted to a wonderful home. And if the shelter was closed, Rusty...
2-minute segment, and once or twice a month.
But I do know about Saturdays, and we have our pet adoptions in front of Petco on Saturdays, and that's the only day that makes sense.
Welcome.
Barbara Shults, Director of the North Coast Animal Welfare Advocacy Center and host of Animal Advocate on KMUD. As you know, I've been involved in animal welfare in Humboldt County for almost a decade now. I believe my involvement in the community and animal rescue, I can make a fair analysis of what's going on with the animal welfare issues. Now, regarding the shelter, the Humboldt County Animal Shelter, I can say I'm very happy that we're at 4% euthanasia. I think it's significant when you assess all the other county shelters in the other counties, and when you look at the interrelationship with the animal welfare groups. Tammy outlined that. It's imperative that we keep the shelter open. It's imperative that that the working relationships with the groups continue, that any effect on the shelter, negative impact, affects all of us. Now, when I first saw this, as you know, I'm having difficulty with this county, not per se the shelter itself and the animals, however, with the operations and the outreach of what's happening with the shelter. This analysis, and I have to say for somebody, I want to thank Bonnie Neely back in 2006 for putting this on the agenda, the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. At that time, most of the groups showed up, including Humboldt Domestic Violence Services, the Humboldt Wildlife Center, Bless the Beast, Shannon Miranda, Canine Angels, Paws, a remarkable amount of groups came forward to be part of the solutions, part of coming together and working together to maximize funding and so forth. Now, when I look at this, it's very frustrating because now I have to come up here and yeah, you're working it out now. However, when we look at all these other commissions, from Headwaters to the Women's Commission, I don't think it's unrealistic of me to expect this county to have a forum so we could come together instead of me driving 110 miles. And I living in Shelter Cove, it's 120 miles to the shelter. I need to say that over, 120 miles. Now, right now, I'm taking care of a puppy that was found behind a truck a day old for 5 weeks. 5 weeks old as of this week, and I've gotten no sleep. Jim's in the car. He would be here right now, but he has the puppy and we have no one. With my radio show, Animal Advocate, when we look at funding, and this has been a constant issue throughout the years, is always budget, budget, budget. I've had Maddie's as a guest on my radio show. I've had ASPCA. I've had the Humane Society of the United States. All these entities have clearly indicated that they give monies, and they've given to San Diego, and I've talked about it over and over and over again. So when I look at this county's responsibility and their ability to make sound decisions and come up with solutions, I'm standing in front of you today because I feel that, yes, you may opt for what we're saying and keep this shelter open, keep it open on Saturdays. That makes sense. But it goes beyond that for me because I live in Shelter Cove. I deal with no law enforcement or abuse of law enforcement. I live in a district where we have abuse of all kinds. So I have to say this county has refused to recognize the Animal Welfare Coalition, let alone acknowledge that there's thousands of dollars that I spend in the gentry over my own needs for this county. I've saved this county thousands of dollars. I've helped put this county on the map for the major funding entities. So when I look at this, I get very frustrated because I don't see critical thinking skills. I really don't see that, well, how much money is the groups? How much, when you look at the entire picture, we're not just looking at the shelter, we're looking at all the arms and the inner relationships with the other groups. There's little analysis of what we do. Most of you don't talk to me. The communication amongst the groups is very scarce. We work very hard. We don't have social lives. We don't have vacations. There's been no formal meeting since 2004 with the shelter opening. Now, Freeman Fund, we've had with the Humboldt Area Foundation several meetings, but not one formal meeting, us giving you input on what our difficulties are.
Okay.
And no, I'm not finished.
Barbara, please wind it up. In fairness, I'm giving everybody 3 minutes.
I waited all morning. I am not done. And no, I'm not finished.
Barbara, please wind it up. In fairness, I'm giving everybody 3 minutes.
I waited all morning. I am not done. And no, I'm not finished.
Barbara, please wind it up. In fairness, I'm giving everybody 3 minutes.
I waited all morning. I am not done. I have repeatedly...
Please continue, Barbara, or sit down.
I'm going to continue. Don't interrupt me. I have repeatedly...
Please continue, Barbara, or sit down.
I'm going to continue. Don't interrupt me. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Department and Board of Supervisors have deliberately taken advantage of the niche of volunteers in the segment of the community, and it's including myself. Most of the individuals working in animal rescue are women who, for the most part, have limited incomes or no incomes. But yet, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of our money and brought in millions of dollars for the animals. Now, when you look at economic development, living in the 2nd District, there is no relationship with Garberville and the surrounding areas with the Work Investment Area Board, let alone any economic development.
I'm asking you to sit down. You're off topic. Please,
Arrest me.
please,
Arrest me.
please sit down.
Clendenen, arrest me.
Please,
Arrest me.
please sit down.
Clendenen, arrest me. Arrest me.
I'm trying not to make this a
No, no,
test
no,
of
no. What
wills.
you're
In
doing
fairness,
is interrupting me like not anybody else. This is really rude. Arrest me. And I'm being prosecuted for taking a dog to the shelter that was loose. I'm being prosecuted because there's no animal control. And if you think that after spending all morning and me spending the time with no sleep, that you're going to shut me up, Supervisor Clendenen, you're sadly mistaken. There's nothing inappropriate about me coming in front and discussing the issues, which is your district, your responsibility. I've also consulted with an attorney who writes the animal law books for the law schools. And what we have to deal with in Garberville, the groups on the north end don't have to deal with. And I really am very irritated with you that you have to interrupt me and interrupt my written out things. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be interviewed on KMUD. I'm going to do an all sides now. I'm going to write, and this is, I'll put my response. So if this is what you're going to do to me, when I have to drive 120 miles and we have one vehicle, we have no shelter, and the economics are absolutely horrid down there, fine. You're going to deal with the political repercussions, and publicly, I'll deal with this, and legally. Your behavior is really rude and careless. Your behavior is really rude and careless.
If not, you're...
Excuse me. Shh. Your behavior is really rude and careless.
If not, you're...
Excuse me. Shh.
excuse me. Steve, did you have a follow-up? Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other public comment? Okay, Supervisor Lovelace.
I just want to remind everyone that the motion is to try to go back and see if we can work this out so that we can maintain those additional hours.
Thank you. All in support? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. The next item we're going to take up is item F1.